Okay, so the Mishnah tells us the following. Rabbi Elazar Hamodai Oimer, Hamachalel es HaKodshim, a person who profanes Kodshim. Kodshim are the produce or the food products that have been dedicated to the temple, and he profanes them, meaning he doesn't take any, he doesn't feel any relevance to their sanctity, and he says it doesn't matter, and he consumes them. Or anything that has been eaten in the temple, he says irrelevant, not important, not holy. And a person who undermines the festivals, such as the festivals of Sukkot, Pesach, as well as Shavuos, but even to the extent, and we'll see in the Rebbeinu Yonah, Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed is the time frames in between the festivals, such as Sukkot. You know, you have the Yom Tov on either extremity, and then in the middle you have something called Chol HaMoed. Same to by Pesach, you have something called Chol HaMoed, and a person undermines those times. He degrades those times, says they're not important. Person that causes an embarrassment to a fellow individual in public. I mean, automatically when you're reading Mishnah, you're asking, if you're with me, you're asking, like, what on earth does one thing have to do with another? Yeah, what relevance does each teaching have with another? To embarrass your friend, what's that got to do with profaning the festivals or the sacrifice or the food products that have been eaten in the temple? I mean, what relevance is that? It's just so random, it seems. And then if you want to talk about random, you just wait for this one, all right? This is like the epitome of random. And a person who tries to rectify their circumcision by almost making it look like they weren't circumcised. So they pull the skin back over to try and replicate that they have a foreskin. My golly, I mean, that's just so strange, hey? That's like seriously, like just out of place here, you know?
Or is it not perhaps somebody who doesn't bris their son?
No, it says Mayfair, which means he's already been brised. It's just that he annuls it. He annuls it. Can you hear my dog in the background?
Yes.
Very loud, Robert.
What?
It's normal. It's natural. It sounds like you've got a beautiful home there with the dog. So.
Okay, thank you. I just want everyone to focus in on Gerald Diamond's Zoom there. That is just the most amazing thing. Can you do it once more, Gerald? That was like so cool. Look at that. Oh, where's he gone? Gerald, come back on. We lost Gerald Diamond's Zoom. He's got a very special camera. It zooms in. It's like...
The sound is good enough. The sound is good enough.
No, and that zoom is amazing. Okay, so let's try and understand this. So we're talking about an individual that pulls, interestingly, you know how it's translated here? You ready for this? This is one who pulls his foreskin to cover his corona. Whoa, that's crazy. And he appears like an uncircumcised one. Yeah, very relevant. You know, we're talking here about very relevant things. It is like one who does it to anger, to disgrace the commandments. Okay, that's the Rebbeinu Yonah's interpretation here. Okay, so a person that does these, I think, 4 or 5 things. What is that? Machalel es HaKodshim. The first one is he profanes the sanctified or sacrificial aspects of the temple, such as the food that is being eaten by the people. The second one is Mevazes HaMoedos, which is he profaned the festivals and the Chol HaMoed periods. Okay. Then the next one is a Malbin Pnei Chaver Barabim. You embarrass your friend in public. Then the next one is a Mefer Brisei Shel Avram Avinu, a person who tries to conceal the circumcision and pulls the foreskin over. And then the last one is Hamegale Ponim B'Torah Shaloi K'Halacha. A person who sort of teaches Torah, but almost subverts the teaching, that it's not actually the correct teaching. So he extrapolates, or she extrapolates things from the Torah, which is not actually how it's meant to be. All right? So now, if you are able to, so now, what's the punishment for them? Philip, this one's for you. You love these punishments here. It gives us severity. Even though the individual has positive deeds and even knows Torah, he does not have, or she does not have, a portion in the world to come. Sorry, you got Torah, you got Ma'asim Tovim, you got nothing. No portion in the world to come. And again, let's try and contextualize here. Portion in the world to come doesn't only mean in the world to come. It means you don't have a world to come in this world, which means you're not living in a spiritual framework. Olam Haba can exist in Olam Hazeh, which means you can have the world to come in this world. It depends how you live and how conscious you are in your mind and in your soul, or how soul conscious you are, that you're actually able to bring the world to come, Olam Haba, in Olam Hazeh. And that's what we're seeing here. You lose out on all of those things. All right. Now, whoever is able to give us some understanding of threading these through together, you are mamish a genius. Hey, you are on another level. Does anyone want to attempt to find a link between these teachings? Don't all jump at once.
I think maybe just go over the three teachings again.
Okay, what are they? Again, you profane sacred things. You know what? Let's do the following. Let's look at the Rabbeinu Yonah, and while we're looking at the Rabbeinu Yonah, let's see if you can come up with any link. Okay, the Rabbeinu Yonah is just going to give us a very, very, from what we see, a very surface level understanding of each of these teachings. We're going to have to do the work to understand them on a deeper level. If you're too lazy to do the work, the general interpretation and commentary that you need to go to do the work for you is who? Anyone know? Starts with the M and ends with the Aharal.
Maharal.
Excellent. Who was that?
Rebbetzin.
Oh, the Heilige Rebbetzin Amire. Gewalt. Mamish holy. Very, very good. So the Maharal teaches us generally the deeper spiritual links, and as you can tell, that's where I generally tend towards. But let's do but that's because I'm lazy. That's because I'm lazy and I need to go to the Maharal to do the work. But you guys aren't lazy and you'll be able to do the work yourself. But let's see the Rabbeinu Yonah to see what he expounds here. So he says the following. Hamachaleles HaKodshim, a person that comes along to profane the holy things, the holy items from the temple. Zeh hamefagel es HaKodshim ba'ametmam. That's a person who actually delays the consumption of the kodshim, so he can render them impure. So what we know is there's a time frame of consuming certain things in the temple. He says to himself, nah, I'm not going to consume it in that time frame. It's going to go beyond that time frame, and now you can't touch it. Okay, that's how the Rabbeinu Yonah understands it. Echad kodshim izbech ve'echad kodshim b'dek habayis machalo yisam ein lo chelek lo mahaba. That's the kodshim that come from the temple, from the sacrificial altar, and from anything that has been given to the temple treasury. If you profane them, then you have no portion in the world to come. Just parenthetically, just to bring a bit of spice here, this gives us very, very deep concept on a very, very personal and important level. And that is to say the following. Pigul is when you come along and you delay something. Yeah, you delay something and you create pigul. Now, pigul, if you rearrange the letters, spells pilug or paleg. And pilug means there is a dissonance, there is a split, there is a state of being in constant dissonance. And what it's talking here is about one of the most important aspects of dealing with life and engaging with life. And that's a person who delays the consumption of the kodshim. What does that mean? You push it off, which means you don't eat it in the present state of being. You're almost, even if you come along to the sacrifice and you say, I have intention not to eat it now, I have intention to eat it tomorrow. Even if you ate it now, but your mind's about tomorrow, it's pillow, it's already turned into pigul, which means a person's mind and a person's experience needs to be at the same place at the same time. How many things do we do when we eat, but we're on our phone? How many times when we sit together and we're learning, but our minds are elsewhere? How many times when we actually experience things by even walking from our bed to our cupboard, or from the cupboard to the fridge, or whatever it is, are we actually thinking about other things and we're not actually present in the experience totally and present totally in our lives? And that's an explanation of what it means we lose the world to come. We don't have a portion in the world to come, which means we've lost our spiritual spark about being present in life. And that could be a deeper interpretation of what the Rabbeinu Yonah is teaching us, who profanes the kodshim, meaning you profane that which is sanctified and holy in life. And what's sanctified and holy in life? Everything. Everything is essentially imbued with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But if we're constantly thinking about the future and constantly saying there's something better in life, it's going to come to me later, I'm profaning what's present currently, and I don't have a portion in the world to come. Okay? That's just a deeper interpretation based on the Rabbeinu Yonah. But on a simple sense, it's just talking about actually nullifying or undermining the kodshim that exist in the temple. What does it mean who desecrates the holidays? Okay, we're going to just do this one, and then I want to jump into a few of the interpretations of the Maharal, and then we'll have a discussion over that. Okay, the Rabbeinu Yonah says that there is a reason why these two things are placed next to each other. The festivals, as well as the produce that was consumed in the temple. Why? Because both of them are referred to as kodshim. Both of them are referred to as sanctified. The kodshim ksiv, kodesh kadoshim. The moedes ksiv, eila moede Hashem asher tikro is a mikre kodesh. So by kodshim, it's referred to as kodesh kadoshim, which means holy. And by the festivals, they're referred to as a mikre kodesh, also a calling of holiness. ומחלל שניהם אין לו חלק לעולם הבא מפני שחלל קודשי השם. ועל זה אמר רז"ל, כל מחלל את המועדות כאילו עובד עבודה זרה, שנאמר אלוקים מסכן לא יששי לך, וסמך לה את החג המצות תשמר. So it says that those two things are referred to as holy. Now this is where I'm sure your mind's going a little bit wandering about. Because it doesn't seem there's any relevance here in discussing this. Let me just conclude in the English here so everyone somewhat stays involved. Anyone who profanes the holidays, it is as if he worships idolatry. As it says, you shall not make molten gods for yourselves, and it is placed it adjacent to you shall observe the feast of the leavened bread. As he said here, one who desecrates. And he did not say one who profanes the holidays, because he is not speaking about the festival day itself. As about this, it is not required to speak, since the festival day is like Shabbos. Rather, he's speaking about the intermediate days of the holiday, which is a reference to Chol HaMoed. Okay, that time frame of, let's say you have 7 or 8 days of the festival, the middle days is what he's talking about the one doing forbidden work with his hand. Okay, so again, what is the relevance of all of this? You know, if you've not gone walkabouts already in some state of your la la land in the mind, what is the relevance of these teachings? Can anyone deduce a connection between the following, I think, 5 things? Number 1, profaning the sacrificial things in the temple or the sanctified things in the temple. What is that? The mavazes hamoedos, profaning the festivals, embarrassing one's friend in public. Sorry, that's 3. Mefer brisa shel Avram Avinu, trying to conceal or rectify the circumcision of Abraham. The megale panim b'Torah, and undermining the or teaching Torah in the wrong way, meaning you teach halacha in the wrong way. It's not meant to be that way, but you expand it in a different way. Okay, 5 things. Can you bring them into a fist? Can you find one connection that is able to bring or bridge all of these teachings into one? Anyone have a clue or an idea?
Denial of God.
Good. And how do you see there's a relevance or a general?
Because in the bris, it's a covenant between man and God. So if you reverse the bris, you reverse the covenant. And it's the same thing with the others. They're all exactly the same. If you don't sanctify what God says is holy, then you are denying God. You're reversing the covenant.
Okay,
By not learning Torah.
Can't it apply to anything? Like, can't we say any commandment that a person subverts essentially is a denying of God? Why these things specifically? What's unique about them? It doesn't say if I break Shabbos. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say, if I eat tray food. It doesn't say that. It says specifically these things. Profaning sacred things. Despising the festivals. Embarrassing one's fellow in public. I mean, where does that fit in? You see that there's a theme here. What's the theme?
Emotional things. They're
emotional things.
It's something you do with a character of yours, not, they're degrading. They're things that you degrade people.
It's a lack of respect.
Not only people.
Okay, I think you're onto something there, Jenny. And I definitely think what Amira was saying also is correct. But I'm just saying we have to hone in on what's actually being taught here in a more detailed way. And I think Jenny's just giving a little bit of an addition there to Amira's concept, is something of degrading. You're degrading something. That's an interesting concept. Gary, you wanted to say something?
Just a lack of respect.
A lack of respect. Very, very interesting. Just having a lack of respect. Wow. What a simple way to put this Mishnah across. Wow. I think that's transformative. I think that's a very, very beautiful concept there, Gary. A lack of respect. I think you've summed it up very much in those 2 words that you just said. But maybe if you want to give us some illumination as to what you're teaching there, Gary. Yeah.
Things should be done in a certain way. By putting it back, you're disrespecting something that was ordained to be done in a certain fruit in the temple. You shouldn't be. You're disrespecting something that was ordained to be done a certain way. If you're not learning Torah, in the way, or the following halacha in the way, you're abrasive. You're putting your own will and your own desire and your own intention above, the laws, and you've got disrespect for the way things should be done, or ordained to be done, and that's selfish, and it's not respecting. It's disrespectful.
Okay, beautiful. I think that's a very interesting interpretation. Very, very powerful, and something I think that we lack. And I think that all of these, I didn't even think about it this way. All of them essentially is speaking about having a state of respect. But what respect is being able to honor seemingly what looks mundane, to respect even the most mundane and most almost sometimes seemingly irrelevant circumstances, respecting, having an honor for each thing in life, having a deep sense of respect and resonance for the most simple things. And an individual who profanes sacred things comes along and says, come on, what, Hashem really cares about the food, you know, and the consumption of food in the temple? That's honestly of any status in the spiritual world? Yes, everything has an ability to be elevated. Everything, even this cup, you know, you have to have a respect to this cup. You have to have a respect to your clothes. You have to have a respect to the environment that you live in. You have to have a respect for the most mundane thing. Animals, there has to be a respect for animals. There has to be a respect for yourself. Many people even respect themselves. You know, you have to have an honor and a sacred approach to everything in life. And this is what's happening here. A person can get so, what we call verfrummt, so overly spiritual and overly in their mind and conceptual, that they lose grounding in the most simple things. But it means that they've lost their spirituality. And to be able to sanctify and see the sacredness in kodshim, which is food items, meat. Meat has sanctity. Amazing. You know, you can sanctify everything as sanctity. Then when it comes to the festivals, and specifically, you know, the Chol HaMoed, but I saw certain interpretations that brought why the festivals, because the purpose of festivals is to elevate the physical. It means that the purpose of festivals is to be happy with food and drink. It says basar v'yayin, meat and wine. How can that be holy? How can that be holy? But we're teaching there is holiness in everything. We're sanctifying, we're showing a respect to everything in our lives. The third one, who can bring this into this concept here? What is it to embarrass or to cause one's friend's face to blush in public? How does that fit in?
Well, the penalty for embarrassment is like murder. I compare it to murder.
Well,
How does it fit into context?
well, you're not thinking of them, you know, you're not respecting their space, you're causing them harm. It's not thinking of others, you know, it's disrespectful.
Honoring people. People. I mean, there's such a beautiful reality to people. There's such an honor and such a splendor in every human being. You know, last night I logged into a Zoom with Shlomo Katz, who's a musician, and just parenthetically, not that it's parenthetical ever, but it's the breast of Rabbi Nachman's birthday today, and it's also Rosh Chodesh Nisan, one of the most powerful days, the head of the month. And it says that all the future months draw energy from today. So a very powerful day today, very, very powerful. And I was very, very, almost emotional last night while I was on the Zoom meeting, and there were hundreds of people on this Zoom meeting. He's a famous musician. And I was, you know how you can sort of like, you know, piece through all of the people and see everyone who's online. And really what it was doing was one of the most beautiful things. I was watching all of these Jews in their own homes with their families, listening to this musician. A lot of them were dancing and singing along with him. And it was so beautiful to actually see other human beings, this splendor, this beauty in people. There's something so beautiful about it. And I was going through and you just see these beautiful people in their homes they never knew existed, you know, but there's such a splendor to every individual, such a difference, such an honor. It says that God made every human being with a different image, a different face. How is that possible? How did God do that? But it shows us that every person has an individual energy and spirituality that they bring to the world. And that's what we have to honor. We have to show a respect to every human being. Treat every human being as sanctified, something that I haven't been able to do, which I generally have the custom to do, during this pandemic is when you shake another person's hand. There's a custom to kiss your hand. Why? Because every person is so holy. Every person is so sanctified. That's the custom, to have that awareness. And if you can have that awareness for others, you can only really have that awareness that creates an awareness for yourself as well, to understand that depth that a person has within. So that's the concept of honoring and not causing any form of embarrassment to their friend. But Mefer Brisa Shel Avraham Avinu is coming along to teach us, if you undermine or try to subvert the covenant or the sign that's of the removal of the foreskin, it's coming along to say that on a simple level, and this is how the Maharal puts it, what? God wants you to place a sign on such a mundane part of a person's body, such a it's almost the antithesis of the spiritual self. What are you talking about? Hashem wants you to have a sign there. I'd much rather get a tattoo on my arm of a Magen David that says I'm Jewish. Why would I put a sign there? To teach us something fundamental, and that is everything is sanctified. God is found in every single element of our lives. Even the most seemingly mundane is actually, according to Kabbalah, the highest of the high, that a person can reach the highest states of spirituality through those avenues. And that's why a person who undermines all of that essentially is losing the portion in the world to come, which means they don't live in a place which is grounded, which is infused with godliness. It's almost they've succumbed to having to place themselves in the little corner to experience God. But God is found in every aspect and element of our lives. And finally, in the Megale Ponim B'Torah, is a person who teaches Torah. The way it's written here is a person who is contemptuous towards the Torah. The Megale Ponim means that you sort of reveal an element of Torah in the incorrect way. The way the Maharal teaches it is that you subvert the teachings of Torah, that it suits your understanding of things. Meaning, the Torah wants us to be involved in the physical, but you come along and you say, nah, the Torah actually is not interested in the physical. It's just an analogy. It's just something there to teach you about something else. It's something that I hear very much in certain ideologies which aren't very much in line with orthodoxy, which comes along to say the teachings of the Torah are all, are all mashals. They're all analogies for just ways of being in this world. So when the Torah says you have to keep Shabbos, it doesn't actually mean you have to keep Shabbos. You have to do something that takes out the Shabbos, And when the Torah says you have to eat certain things, it doesn't really mean that. It means you have to take out the lessons from that. It's true in the sense that you have to take out lessons, but it's fundamentally an error when a person comes along to undermine the simple values and the simple principles and laws that the Torah places into our lives to embed our lives with holiness, to embed our lives, the physical part of our lives, with a sensitivity and a great honor for the sacredness of every single thing that's in our lives, everything that surrounds our lives. And that's what it means that you megale ponim b'Torah sheloi k'halacha. Let's see what the Rabbeinu Yonah says on this here, and then we'll conclude with that. So one who is megale ponim b'Torah, zeh hameyiz ponav kilefi Torah lasas averos b'farhesia. Well, din the meyiz ponim kilefi l'moidea. So the way the Rabbeinu Yonah is interpreting this Mishnah is these, very much like Amira was saying, is these are all ways of directly sort of poking fun at spirituality. You do sins in public, You take all of the symbols and holiness that's been imbued in this world and you just undermine it. Yeah, that's how the Rebbeinu Yonah's understanding it. But we've taken the Maharal and a deeper approach to see a flow through all of these things. And thus the teaching here is to be able to appreciate every single thing in our lives. To have, as Gary put it so beautifully and succinctly and simply in a profound way, to have respect. Having respect, it means I am able to honor things in my life. And we're losing it. It says that in the times of the Ikvasa de Mashiach, which means just before Mashiach comes, it says chutzpah will be proliferated everywhere. Chutzpah. And chutzpah means I don't have respect anymore. I've lost respect. And chutzpah means I've lost respect even for the most simple things in my life, the most simple things. I'll just conclude. You know, there's a lot of studies, especially from Japan, where there's a great sensitivity to something we call the feng shui, which is the energy in a room and how a person places the items in their house and how it spreads the energy in the room. To a certain extent, that there are certain individuals who have created an occupation where they come in to manage the feng shui in your place, in your home, how things are placed. And I was listening to a podcast by one of the teachers there, and before she would come into a home, she would kneel at the entrance of the home in respect for the home and the objects in the home, understanding that there's a sanctity to every single thing that is surrounding a person. And I think that is a very, very valuable teaching here, to be able to understand that every single thing is sanctified, everything. And not only everything, everyone is sanctified. And we have an opportunity to embed spirituality and holiness into even the most mundane things into our lives, to realize that everything is subsumed with godliness. And I think a very vital teaching, especially that we'll be able to very much meditate on the sanctity of things in our homes for elongated period of time while in lockdown. Any other comments, questions, statements anyone wants to make?
Yes, it's very Kabbalistic. What is the purpose of us here on this earth? It is our duty to release the sparks of light and to break down the klipot. And that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
In the basics of everything, in the things that look profane, we're supposed to find the light, to break the klipot and make it holy.
Yeah.
And to gather the sparks to go back to Adam in the Garden of Eden. Exactly.
And we spoke a little bit about this last night when we were teaching from the Kutei Halachos, where Rabbi Nosson was saying one of the biggest and most spiritual activities is to be able to find happiness in sadness, to find light in darkness, to find what is illuminated what is sullied. And the ability to be able to find happiness and joy, which is essential to us, which is innately us, and the concept of sanctity, which is innately us, in that which seems not to be full of joy and seems to be mundane, is our greatest activity and our greatest spiritual task in life, and very much suited to the words that you just shared based on the Kabbalistic teachings. So thank you, Rebbetzin Amira. Anyone else want to share with us an idea, a comment, a thought before the 4 minutes that we have is up? Martin, we want you to speak. Are you there, Martin? Kenny, thank you for sharing that. That was very deep and insightful. Thank you. And Gerald, everyone just focus on that Zoom. Look at that Zoom. Wow, that was amazing. So, okay, thank you. Thank you again, Gerald. Yeah, Gerald, you want to say something?
No.
Okay, Hilton, Gary, Jenny, Alan, Philip,
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you, Rabbi.
We wish
Thank
you
you,
all bracha.
Rabbi.
Make sure to stock up on alcohol today, your last day.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I just want to
Stay
say that
clean.
each day I'm trying to go away with something real
Yes.
that I can apply from that day on.
Yeah.
And this one, it's really, it's huge, because it means that at every moment you're enveloped with Hashem. Because if you're honoring your clothing, your food that you're eating, your fellow man, the Torah, the words of people, you know, you go into a completely different state, and you do become egoless. It means that you have to be really egoless, because you can't make anything more than what you are. It's awesome, because it gives you a oneness.
Yes. It democratizes your experience with life. It almost melts you into life, into the experience of life. It's the most freeing and beautiful way to be able to honor everything. Everything is of value and full of spirituality, 100%. I think it's a very, very important teaching. That's why we started off. You look at the Mishnah and you're like, what on earth are you on? You know, what are you trying to teach me here? Very, very strange, very seemingly impervious, and quite coarse. But when we dig deeply inside the teaching and see the relevance, we are often surprised by the teaching, and it's probably one of the deepest teachings that we can take with us. So it should be with bracha, and we thank you again for joining us, and we wish everyone bracha and a lot of refuah, safety, simcha. Most important, simcha, happiness. Find the essential happiness that's inside of every single one of us. It exists there, not premised, not based on anything. It is there already, and we should continue with bracha. We'll be meeting hopefully at 6 this afternoon to continue our journey together. Have a beautiful day, everyone.